We speak to advisors all the time about their habits with customers, how customers are dealing with them. There is an awful lot of change in the market more regularly these days. It says that people are more used to that sort of form of communication. People want instant replies, people are happy to speak more regularly and pick up conversations where they left off whenever they need to. That's far more widely recognised, even with different demographics of customers now. People expect instant sort of information and convenience now. So it's not only because they're trying to chase an advisor, or perhaps because the journey of purchasing a house is taking a little bit longer than it was years ago and you're searching for more information. I think people are just expecting of that instantaneous and convenient way of communication now. That's the main culprit. And not only that, but as you say, more and more people getting used to using those means of communication, not only with their friends and family, like it maybe was a few years ago, with other companies now. You know, with things like live chat on the internet, you're used to that conversation just being via text, getting the information you need, getting in, getting out whenever you need to. Bit of both, definitely, you know, first-time buyers being a little bit younger, being in that generation that has grown up with instant messaging has a massive impact. And as I said in other answers, you know, people are used to that sort of technology. A big driver behind it is the fact that your mortgage advisor is more engaged with the customer throughout the process now than maybe they were before. Rates are changing regularly. A lot of purchase journeys are almost a little bit more vulnerable than they were a little while ago. So you are looking for that sort of reassurance as a customer. So I don't think that's specific to an age group. Absolutely, you know, newer generations are more likely to be influenced by people that aren't necessarily professionals. So I think the value of advice is key, and you know, the advice professionals that we work with, advice professionals across the industry, they're having to learn to use these mediums of communication because they need to convey that really valid advice and that really valid recommendation info. So yeah, absolutely, it's pivotal. Yeah, that's an interesting one, because you can imagine as a small business owner, you know, if it's just the one person, you're a sole trader as an advisor, and you've got to manage your response sort of battery, if you like, haven't you? If you're trying to get things done. So I think it's about setting boundaries early on in the process, you know, questions being answered and core milestones are key to make sure that the customer knows what to expect, and you know, the expectation then is met by the advisor, and it's not a surprise on either side to make. You need to consider your technology partners, what providers you're using, what lenders you're using, and how they communicate with customers. You are in control of how you communicate with the customer, but if you're using technology providers that are paper-based, God forbid, or don't have access to portals or platforms that allow customers to get access to documents and information easily, that is a consideration. But depending on where your business is, depending on where your customers are, what sort of products you're selling, and how many customers you're dealing with, absolutely they need to consider how often they're communicating. Do you need to be making sure that you're communicating more not only about lenders, but about protection and GI? Make sure that people know to come to you for that information rather than going to, you know, someone they saw on a social media platform or on a morning television program. You know, make sure they know they're buying a mortgage from you as a mortgage broker, so they know you're an expert in that. So if you're going to communicate newsletters or communicate market information, why not make it about insurance? Because when they're looking for that insurance policy later on, whether it be GI or protection or something else, they'll remember you and they'll come back to you.